morning. So this morning I was supposed to go hike Cocoa Hike with Jenna, but she's not feeling too well, which I told her to rest up and to not feel bad because you should never feel bad for canceling plans. We're gonna make my smoothie that I was planning on drinking beforehand anyways, so I just thought that I would take this time to film a YouTube video sponsored by SFH, of course. So we're gonna make my pitaya smoothie. I'm probably gonna add some granola. Let's make that now. My head's a little cut off, but that's okay. So I already put the banana and frozen dragon fruit in my blender. I'm gonna add strawberries, mango, and SFH protein powder. I never have exact measurements. Mango. I'm crazy but you like that. I love adding this to everything. I consume about a scoop a day. I always put like a third of a scoop in my cold brew in the morning, and then I somehow have like a half or more in a smoothie later. I'm just gonna put that much. Let's put the top on. Who needs one of these when you have Chewy? All right, we're just gonna roll with this. Hello, I have my smoothie. It has strawberries, mango, pitaya, banana, and SFH vanilla plant protein. I've been wanting to film this video for a while where I talk about how I quit smoking tobacco and nicotine. This may come as a surprise to many of you, but yes, I was one of those teenagers, and I thought now that I'm turning 20 tomorrow, I can reflect on my rebellious teenage days and give some advice. But in all seriousness, I'm super grateful that I was able to quit, and I know it's very difficult for most, and I'm gonna share some advice and just talk about my experience and my conversation with my parents. I feel like our audience is mostly either around my age or parents. That's a great demographic to speak to when it comes to smoking awareness and nicotine addiction. So I wrote some notes down on my phone, but I want this to be super casual because, oh no, my battery's gonna die. I thought it was full. Okay, whatever. Well, my camera battery is charging. I'll just use my phone. And I'm sorry if there's a quality change, but I don't want my smoothie to melt, or I don't want to eat it all and then not be able to have it during the video. I'm gonna be super honest in this video, and I really hope I don't get any backlash, but I know it's a big problem with my generation, especially with vaping, because no one thought it'd be addicting, / everyone thought it was safe because it's new technology and it's used to help those who smoke cigarettes quit. But clearly that has hit everyone in the butt, and now we have a huge vaping problem, and lots of teenagers / young adults are vaping and they're addicted to it and they can't put it down. So I want to share my experience, how I talked about it with my parents, how I actually got caught and then talked about it with my parents, and how I quit. Also, I still have the screenshots of my parents texting me because I knew it'd be funny in the future. I know, it was silly of me in the moment to be like, I'm gonna screenshot this, but now it's coming handy. I wrote the timeline down because I've been planning this video for a while and just wanted to make sure I had all the right facts. 8th grade, I hit my first vape. I don't even remember whose vape it was. Someone had vape in the locker room, I think, and I was like, oh my goodness, I want to try that. Continue to hit others' vapes through 8th grade, whether that was at, I don't know, get-togethers. Oh my goodness, 8th grade, I was 13 or 12. That's so embarrassing. And then 9th grade, I got my first box mod. So cringe. I don't know if I'm gonna insert videos or not yet because I just don't want to have that of me on the internet, but also I do want to be authentic and real. But there is a line between protecting my own privacy and sharing my experience. My parents would always find it in my bag, and I would just say it was my friends. My parents are gonna watch this. I would say, oh yeah, that's my friends, but her parents are super strict, and I knew that if you guys found it, you guys would understand and wouldn't think that it's mine, but I just don't want her to get in trouble. But the whole time, it was mine. Okay, and then 10th grade, this is where it starts getting worse. So clearly there's a progression. I thought that I wasn't addicted in 8th grade, and I was just hitting my friends. Then 9th grade, I got my own. So that shows progression with my addiction. So 10th grade, I still had that box mod. Then I started smoking cigarettes. This wasn't a regular thing. It was definitely more than a few times. My friend at the time, she didn't vape or anything, but whenever she was drunk or something, she would want a cigarette, so she would have cigarettes. Foolish me decided to have some. Clearly I was not in the right headspace through high school. Not only did I start doing cigarettes, I started chewing tobacco. You know that dip that you put in your lip? I was doing that, and not only was I packing one little packet, I had at least 2 or 3. Ugh, I have a clear memory of me having dip in my mouth, spitting it out, going to a carnival, and just feeling like crap. Okay, and then junior and senior year of high school is when I started using the Fix and the Soren. I'll put photos, it's so embarrassing, but it was basically more concentrated than the box mod, the type of juice you would put in it for the Fix. So I'm gonna show what it looks like and show what goes in it, like little, what are they called? I totally forget what they're called. Pods. Okay, so you would put a pod in the Fix, smoke the pod, and then change out the pod when it ran out. But one of those pods equals 2 packs. I would go through one of those pods in 1 to 2 hours. Yeah, so if you can just imagine how the equivalent of cigarettes I was smoking, it was so bad because I would go through each of those pods. And then when I got the Soren, it was similar to the box mod where it just had a little tank where you would fill it up, and I would go through that in like 30 minutes to an hour. So I was very addicted, and all my friends knew it. And I would always get teased because I was pretty smart in high school, was well-rounded, yet I had a nicotine addiction. So to recap, 8th grade is when I started hitting vape, 9th grade is when I owned my first box mod, 10th grade is when I added cigarettes and tobacco packs, and I still had the mod. Junior and senior year, I added the Fix and Soren. So I pretty much had everything that had to do with nicotine and tobacco. So why did I start? I truly think I started because, well, in 8th grade, I think I was just trying to fit in and be cool because 8th grade me didn't know any better, and everyone else was doing it in the locker room, and I was like, if everyone else is doing it, it must be fine, it must be safe. But it's not. So I think the reason why I continued was because I was super stressed out at school. I had a way too heavy workload. I was always taking the hardest classes with sports and such. So I think that's why I continued, because I was stressed. But there are so many other ways to cope with stress. Clearly, if I don't need it now, I didn't need it then. I also didn't think vaping was as addictive or as serious as cigarettes. So this was before I started smoking cigarettes. I thought it wasn't harmful. I didn't think anything of it. I just didn't know anything about it. I should have done my research, but also at the time it was so new, so there wasn't much research out as compared to now, where there are so many articles talking about people going to the hospital and having lung issues because of vaping. And my last why that I wrote down, I think I thought it was fun. It was something to do when we were all in the car hanging out, but it was stupid. There are so many other things you can do. What were the effects and the negative effects in my life? I stopped going to yoga. Huge. That's so crazy to think about now that my whole life is basically yoga now. I couldn't surf anymore. I couldn't last in shore break for more than 10 minutes. So for you locos, I couldn't last at Makapu'u, the shore break, for more than 10 minutes. I would start wheezing and I just couldn't breathe. I couldn't handle it. And this wasn't even on a big day, just a normal chill shore break. Or I couldn't go up the stairs without wheezing. And that's even crazier to think about now that I do cocoa head all the time. I couldn't go more than 30 minutes without consuming nicotine. So yes, that means I can't last a full yoga class without hitting nicotine. It was bad. I went to the bathroom every single class period to hit my nicotine. So bad. Even at sports practices, I would say, oh, my stomach hurts, like I need to go to the bathroom. And I would just say that so I can hit my nicotine. All of these things weren't cheap. So in high school, I was spending at least $50 every 2 days. And that was either to get more pods, get more Soren juice, get another Soren because I would break mine all the time. I rarely asked my parents for money just because I usually had a job. At the time, I was working at Panda Express and all my paychecks were going to my nicotine addiction. Alright, so how did I get caught? I was working at Panda Express the night shift. I was supposed to go to a party that night. I would go home, shower real quick, and then go straight to the party. My dad texted me and he goes, "Time is your party. We found your stash under your bed." And I knew instantly, my heart dropped. I was freaking out because I also knew my parents were gonna pick me up. I responded, "I'm not going," because I knew there's no way they would let me go to a party. So my dad said, "I want you to think about being honest." So I go home, I go to my room, everything is out. Everything that I mentioned earlier was on my bed and I knew it was over. So I went to my parents' room, and in my opinion, I think it's always best to be honest. because you never know what the outcome will be. So if you lie and that shapes your outcome, you'll just continue to lie to continue with that story, and you're not gonna get the help that you need. I know my parents are super understanding, and that's what I'm very grateful for. I always know that if I tell them the truth, it'll work out. I told them everything. I told them I started in 8th grade, I got addicted. Okay, I also need to mention that I got caught my senior year of high school, and they kind of freaked out. They're like, you've been doing this since 8th grade and we haven't found out? I told them why I thought I was addicted. I told them I was stressed with school. I told them how much I was spending on it. I was just completely honest because, for one, my parents didn't know anything about vaping or anything about mods, Fix, and Soren. So I just told them straight up the truth, and they were completely understanding. They were pretty disappointed, to say the least. I think that was probably the most trouble I got myself into. Instead of them getting upset at me, they were super appreciative of my honesty, because it happened. I don't believe in getting super upset if that's not going to change anything. I made my mistakes, and they knew that, and they understood that, and instead of dwelling on the past, they listened to me with compassion and understanding, and then from there we figured out a plan of how to help me. My parents threw away all my crap and they left my Fix because they knew that that was the thing I was most addicted to. I don't know why they didn't get rid of the Fix. So my dad, whenever we are trying to create a new habit or break an old one, he writes it all on this little index card, and he writes numbers around the edges 1 through 30 for 30 days, and the goal in the center. So I think mine was do not intake nicotine, and there were 30 days. So my dad had me start that card, and I'll be honest, I marked it, but I did not follow it. And my dad knew because I skipped a day, and he's like, why didn't you mark it? And I was like, I forgot. But no, I still hadn't quit yet. I was still sneaking into my parents' room to hit my Fix, or at school I was hitting other people's. I remember I was in my bathroom, and right here started hurting for no reason. I never get pain right here. And I was like looking at it, like, did I get a bruise or something? And then I realized it was hurting right where my tattoo is. Holy crap. Is this a sign? I knew that that was my last straw of disappointment. So my grandpa means everything to me, and it hits a soft spot when my grandpa's approval comes into play. So that was the moment when I realized I need to quit. This is not doing me anything but harm. My body is not having it. Also, keep in mind, I'm a year younger than my year in school. So for example, I'm 19 right now, but I'm a junior in college. I was much younger than a typical senior in high school. I think I was 17. Although my parents thought I was quitting from that index card that my dad made me the night that he caught me, it wasn't until the moment where I started feeling pain on my grandpa's tattoo that I really decided to quit. Sorry, I'm editing this right now, but I forgot to mention, up until that point, I was quitting for other people, not really myself. But when I finally had that realization that I needed to quit for me, and so that I could feel better and get healthier, that was when I had more drive and motivation. It's not until you do it for yourself where you can actually go through with it, because although my friends and family were always telling me to quit, it wasn't until I did it for myself that I was successful. How did I do that? I was super dramatic about it, and I believe this is the way to go, is to be dramatic about it. I threw my Fix out the window. Don't worry, I disposed of it correctly. I went out and actually threw it away. For drama, I threw it out the window, and I said I was never gonna use it again. I remember freaking out and being so anxious because I didn't remember a time where I wasn't intaking nicotine. Because from 8th grade through senior year, I was addicted. But I don't remember how I felt in 7th grade. And from there, that was the last time that I had used nicotine. I can tell you that the first 3 days are the worst. But after that, it gets easier. So you just have to get through those first 3 to 5 days. So the first day I went back to school, I parked my car at back gate, got out of my car, and instantly someone said, Tiana, come in my car. So I went into my friend's car, and she goes, you have to try this. This is a new flavor, lychee, your favorite. I was like, oh my god, like I just quit last night. Like I can't do this because I will never quit if I take a hit of this. And it was hard because lychee is my favorite fruit. And I was like, oh my god, I've never got to try lychee. So that was very difficult for me, but I'm proud of myself to this day for not taking a hit because I knew I wouldn't have quit if I did. And then I went about my day. and of course people were constantly asking me either to hit my fix or for me to hit theirs, and I told them, hey, I'm quitting, like I can't do this. And you just have to be honest. At the time I lost quite a bit of friends because just the group that I was hanging out with, everyone smoked or vaped. I knew I couldn't be around that for as long as I was quitting. I lost a lot of friends. I was just focusing on my schoolwork and just focusing on myself, which was a pretty lonely time, to be honest, but I knew that that was what I had to do to get myself over the addiction. I was in the library during every break, or on my own I would sometimes just go to my car, take a nap, or go get food. I was just very independent at the time because I didn't want anyone to influence me in a negative way with nicotine or vaping or smoking. I believe that was kind of the hardest part of my senior year because I was so alone, and at the time I sort of didn't realize that that's what I needed to quit, but I was just doing it because I knew that if I'd be around vaping or smoking that I would be tempted. But in the moment I was like really sad. So through that time when I was quitting, a lot of my friends were like, how are you quitting? You're the one that did it the most. You were always vaping and smoking. What? And it was hard. I felt a lot of headache. I just constantly felt really stressed and wanted some sort of coping mechanism. It was difficult, but I did it. Some of my friends from high school still vape or smoke to this day, and I'm very grateful that I haven't smoked or hit vape since my senior year of high school. And I also knew I wanted to quit before I went off to college because I didn't want to take this addiction with me. Best version of myself when going to college, because this was a new chapter for me, wanted to make the most of it. Going to college in LA, everyone vapes or smokes cigarettes. It was hard. At the parties, I would constantly get jewels and cigarettes shoved in my face, like, hey, like, woo! And I'd be like, no, like, I can't. And then I felt like a party pooper. But you can't feel that way because you have to understand that people will get mad at you because they're jealous and they want to pull you down with them. But you have to stand your ground and know that you deserve so much more than that. And your body doesn't deserve those chemicals and toxins. You need to prioritize your health. Especially in this pandemic is such a great reminder. I feel like I was still smoking and still addicted to nicotine and tobacco. I would definitely not have as great of an immune system as I do now. So how did I quit? I already said that I had to isolate myself quite a bit, which was hard, but I knew it was needed. So I also knew that part of my addiction was just a hand to mouth motion. So either it's me hitting a vape or me smoking a cigarette or me chewing tobacco. I knew it was hand to mouth. I always had a straw and a cup, or I always had straw drinks. So whether that was me going to Starbucks at the time and getting myself a big drink with a straw, I constantly had something to grab and sip on, or I also have this water bottle with a straw. Yeah, so that was super helpful. In the car is when I would mindlessly vape or smoke the most. So it was nice to have a beverage that I like to grab and drink. So just treat yourself during this time because it is difficult. So get your favorite drink to constantly keep your mind busy. Hang out with people that support you and want to see you get through it. I was always snacking because of the hand to mouth. I think I spent a lot of time in the water. So if you can just be out in the sun or in nature, just exercising, just treating your body right, you'll appreciate that moment more because you'll realize how much you were held back from it during that addiction. I hope this helps, and I hope hearing my story helps because sometimes you just need to hear about how someone else got through it to gain motivation to also get through it. And if you have any questions or want to talk about it more, please reach out. I'm super open when it comes to nicotine and tobacco and addiction, because I really want to help others get through it and to feel their best. And I'm super grateful that I'm able to get back into yoga, exercise, fitness, and to be in honestly the best shape of my life. It feels so good, and I'm so glad I don't have an addiction that's holding me back anymore. I'm honestly so happy. My best tip, I've already talked about this, but if you're a parent out there and your kid or someone you know is struggling with nicotine or tobacco or smoking addictions, just be supportive. Tell them that you understand it's difficult and don't put the blame on them, because oftentimes it was the choice they made to even start. They could have been in a bad place. And it's, to me, everything happens for a reason. I was probably this naive little 8th grader feeling like I needed to fit in. There's clearly a deeper problem. It wasn't that I wanted to vape, but I think it's best to not put the blame on someone. You just never know the deeper feelings or what they were going through. And just support them, ask them what they need. My parents got me the nicotine patch and gum, but I never used it because I just didn't need it. I wanted to quit cold turkey, and I think that was the best way, because I previously tried to wean off and it just never worked. I would always just go right back to it. If you have any questions, please let me know, and I hope my story helped. And thank you again to SFH for sponsoring this video. SFH stands for stronger, faster, healthier, and I definitely feel those 3 things without nicotine addiction and without vaping and smoking. So just know that smoking, the statistics out there, the research, there is nothing good that comes out of it. It's only harming your body, and even if you think you're too deep, you're not. There is still not enough research specifically on vaping, and it's so scary to think about that there could be effects that you just don't know are happening and impacting you in a negative way. So I hope this helps, and if you have any questions or need more advice or want me to talk more about something specifically, please just let me know, and I'll see you guys in our next video. Alrighty, bye!